Now on KGW News, a Portland couple on board that terrifying flight out of Portland demands answers.
This plane shouldn't have been, in the air.
The billion-dollar lawsuit they hope forces a change. Plus, Oregon lawmakers recriminalize drugs.
I think Oregon did its job today to help save lives.
The compromise, they say, will give police the tools to arrest users without doing away with treatment. And later, it's the season finale of Friday Night Hoops as local high school teams make it to the playoffs.
We were driving up here saying it feels like it's December.
Now, winter reminding us it is not done yet. Heavy snow falling in the Cascades tonight with more lower elevation flakes on the way. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon alongside Matt Zaffino to give us a look at what we can expect for the weekend, Matt.
Yeah, Tim, it's all about the snow, especially if you are headed to the Cascades or the Coast Range for that matter. Here's Timberline right now live. It has just been dumping up there. It's up to about 14 or 15 inches of new snow. 20 degrees, so it is cold. The winds aren't too bad right now, but you can see that it's blowing around quite a bit, and there's more snow on the way there. I want to show you some of the pass cameras. This is government camp. I mean, look how snowy that is. ODOT doing their best to keep up, of course, but really snowy roads there. Santiam Pass, you can't even see the road because it's snowing so hard, and Willamette Pass, pretty much the same deal. So you get the idea. The Cascades are really snowy, and it's not just up at 4,000 feet where the passes are. It's all the way down to like 1,500 feet. So that means you're going to have much longer stretches of roads that are covered in snow if you are traveling up and over or through the mountains this weekend. And by mountains, I mean Cascades and the Coast Range. Now, here in the valleys, we're in the upper 30s and low 40s. Every now and then we get some snowflakes mixing down to the valley floor with the rain, but it's not really an issue here. Same thing in the gorge. Temperatures generally still above freezing. So the lowest elevations will remain mainly rain, occasionally some snow. You can see the showers moving through right now, and there'll be more coming on shore as we go into the morning hours tomorrow. So let's break it down by elevation. Sea level to 500 feet. Rain snow mix at times, no problem. 500 feet to 1,000 feet. Occasionally the snow sticking on cars, grassy surfaces, maybe your deck. 1,000 feet and above, though, a couple inches, and then above that, of course, several inches of snow. One more thing I want to mention here. This is a water spout that was spotted off the Oregon coast today. You can see it making, touching down on the ocean right there. Tomorrow, there is an elevated chance of thunderstorms in western Oregon. Some of those could become strong enough to produce hail, even more of these cold air funnel clouds. So we'll be watching the radar very carefully, Tim.
Some crazy weather. Thanks, Matt. Well, some breaking news now in North Portland. This is the scene where a man was shot and killed just before 8 o'clock tonight. It happened at a house on Terry Street near Peninsular Avenue. Police do have someone detained and say there are no other suspects. They're not releasing any other information yet about what happened. Well, a bill that would roll back part of Voter Pass Measure 110 is now in the hands of Oregon's governor. The Senate passed it late this afternoon. We heard tonight from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle and one of the groups that fought against it. Catherine Cook is in the newsroom with an update. Catherine.
Tim, House Bill 4002 partially recriminalizes drug possession, but it also lets individual counties choose whether they want to prosecute users or send them to treatment. Supporters touted the bill as a compromise that gives both police and treatment providers the tools they need to help those who are addicted to drugs. Under the bill, people found in possession of drugs could be charged with a drug enforcement misdemeanor and put on probation. Then, if they're caught violating probation, they could be sent to jail for up to 6 months. The bill also gives counties the option to set up deflection programs instead of arresting or prosecuting people. They would connect them with treatment. Democrats and Republicans in support of the bill praised it as a bipartisan effort that better represents what Oregonians really want. On the other hand, opponents call it a return to bad policy.
Because they voted for treatment. That's what they voted for in Measure 110. I don't think Oregonians were voting for decriminalization. That, if you look back, that wasn't really the campaign. It wasn't decriminalize drugs. It was, let's get treatment for your family and your friends.
We know from 50 years of the war on drugs that the only thing criminalization does is make it more difficult for people to be connected to treatment and housing.
Senators admit more needs to be done to get enough services so people who want to get clean can go to treatment immediately. Since the bill passed the House yesterday, it now awaits Governor Kotek's signature. if she signs it, recriminalization wouldn't begin until September. That'll give counties and cities time to prepare. Back to you, Tim.
Catherine, thanks for the update. Well, to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, Portland police want you to be on the lookout for this man. They say Harold Delaney, who also goes by Bob, shot and killed Charles Hassel at a bar in the St. John's neighborhood. That shooting happened February 5th. Police say Delaney walks with a hunched posture and uses a cane, but he is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him or know where he is, call 911. PGE is once again asking to raise rates for customers. After a 17% increase at the beginning of this year, PGE has filed to raise rates another 7.4% in 2025. The company says the increase is needed to continue building a smarter, more resilient energy grid. The proposal has to be approved by the Oregon Public Utility Commission. You can let them know what you think about that increase by submitting public comment online. And because of all the rain, Portland Parks and Recreation is temporarily closing all of its grass, sports, and athletic fields. It says playing in the wet conditions can really damage fields to the point that they become unsafe. So good news, synthetic fields will stay open, and the city is now working with spring sports leagues to relocate games to open fields. Those closed will stay that way for at least a few weeks. Well, tonight, 3 passengers from Portland are now taking on Boeing and Alaska Airlines. They were on board Flight 1282 and witnessed a door plug blowout. They just filed a lawsuit seeking a whopping $1 billion. Alma McCarty spoke with one of the plaintiffs who considers himself and the more than 170 passengers and crew lucky. Alma?
Yeah, Tim, about 2 months ago, Kyle Rinker took and posted this photo here behind me, a hole in the side of the plane he was on, just 1 row up and over from where he and his girlfriend were sitting. Now he's part of this latest lawsuit, still shaken from what happened that day.
Pretty routine flight, 2.5 hours long.
That routine flight out of PDX to see family in California turned out to be anything but.
Took off fine, and then just 5 minutes in, we heard the big loud pop.
The cause of that noise, a door plug that blew off the side of the plane mid-flight. Kyle Rinker and his girlfriend scrambled to put on oxygen masks.
We were diagonal across there. We were in 27 E and F, and that was 26 A, B, and C. So we were pretty close. The wind just came in rushing. It was very, very cold. All of a sudden, obviously, because you're flying up at 16,000 feet.
He's reflected on these moments often over the last 2 months.
Where we live, we hear a lot of, plane sound, jet sounds and stuff. So that kind of just triggers like hearing that sound again. And no, we have not been on a plane since, and I'm not sure when that will happen again.
The misconduct here is mere fortuity that we don't have a plane load of dead passengers.
Attorney Jonathan Johnson, who represents Kyle, his girlfriend, and another passenger, says Boeing got lucky this time. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't be held accountable. That's why they're suing Boeing and Alaska Airlines, filing a $1 billion lawsuit in Multnomah County.
This is mostly about the systemic problem at Boeing, which is jeopardizing the lives of the entire traveling public who travel on Boeing aircraft.
Johnson explains, although the aircraft manufacturer acknowledged their role in the blowout, with the Boeing CEO admitting in January, "We caused the problem," the lawsuit will push the companies to prioritize safety.
We've had so many people say, "Oh, I'm sorry what you went through," and I'm thinking like, yeah, it could have been a lot worse still, even with it being bad. Like I think about that almost daily.
We reached out to both Boeing and Alaska Airlines for a comment. Both declined our request this evening. Meantime, the FAA this week gave Boeing 90 days to develop a plan to fix quality problems. Tim?
Alma, thank you.